Hello everyone and welcome to a Thursday Facebook Live. I am having my 10 days of Halloween, so you get to see me 10 weekdays in a row. So I'm excited to share with you another great Halloween treat box. As you're coming in this evening, make sure that you check in and let me know who's watching. All right, so let's go back to day number 1. We did this adorable little mini moon pie box. And if you're interested in the video or the PDF directions, go to my blog and you can find it there. That is www.thewexfordstamper.blogspot.com. All the information is on there for this and all. Hello, hi Joanne. Hi, Deb. Nice to see you guys. And then on the second day, we made my tuck behind box. And for mine, I put some gummies in there, but you can put all kinds of little fun size candy in there. It would all fit, but a real fun little box design. So that is number 2. All right, today is day number 3, and we are making the Sweet Treats door hanger. This is one of my faves. This is one of my favorites because you can really stash a lot of good candy in there. And then there's plenty of room for more in there. Right here, I'll show you a picture of how it hangs on the door. So this would be a great way to surprise somebody on their front door or on the door to their office or their classroom. This is just really one of my favorites. I love this one, and it's so versatile. You can use it for any occasion, and it's so easy to make. So, all right, so here it is. And as with all the other ones, there will be a downloadable PDF as soon as my Facebook live stream is over. All right, let's quickly go over some of the materials that we're going to be using this evening to make this project. As you know, we're going to be using the same 3 items for every one of my projects. So we're going to be using paper from the Gingham Cottage Designer Series paper set. This is a whopper of a set, guys. This one has 40 sheets, and it has colors that we can use for our Halloween and fall projects, but then it also has colors you can use for Christmas and on into Easter, and you will get a lot of use out of this great pack. All right, and then we are going to use some of the amazing black and white gingham ribbon. I love to put that on as a little touch on all my projects. And then finally, the Scary Cute stamp set. Okay, this is adorable. I love the little silhouettes of all the trick-or-treaters, and then it had great sentiments. So that's why I use that one. All right, so that is all we're going to be using, those 3 items. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, this time I picked the pumpkin pie cardstock for my orange. Remember last evening I used the Calypso Coral. Both of those are great oranges to use for your Halloween projects. All right, so the size of our pumpkin pie cardstock here is 8.5 by 9.5. All right, let's go ahead and grab the scoring board and bring it in. Make sure I stay in the picture here. Hope everyone is having a lovely day. I'm having a lot of fun making these Halloween projects for you. All right, this is the 9.5 inch side, so this is the long side. I'm going to score at 1/2, then 2, 2, then 5, then 6.5. Okay, all these dimensions will be on my blog and the PDF. Let's go to the short side here. We're going to score at 1.5 right here. Okay, now The next two scores are partial scores. Okay, so I'm going to start at 5 here, and I'm going to score to the second horizontal score line. So I'm going to go from the 5 and stop right there. Okay, let me bring it up so maybe you can see it a little better. See how I just went down to the second? Okay. Then I'm going to turn it 180 degrees so that the other short side is up at the top. Then I'm going to go to the 1.5 and do the same thing. Going to score down to the second score line. Okay, so let me show you how that looks. And I'll tell you why we do that. Okay, you can see it right there. That's really where we're going to be cutting. But it's great to have that nice straight score line there to show us where to cut. And then this large panel here is going to be where we hang it. Okay, so let's go ahead. You want to go ahead and fold and crease all the score lines except for the partial score lines. Okay, so keep those uncreased for now, okay? Because we're just going to really use those for cutting. All right, so there we go. So you have 4 there, and then we only have 1 going the other way. This is going to form our bottom. Okay, so here we go. We're all ready to cut. Let me bring in my template, and this shows you exactly how it's going to look after you're done all your cutting. Okay, these, you'll notice this is the line with the partial scores, and that's just giving me a guide to where I need to cut. All right, so let's grab my scissors. Let's work on the bottom first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead looking here on the left-hand side where my thin score line is. My thin panel. I'm going to cut up the first score line there on this little tiny rectangle and just cut that off. Okay, then I'm going to cut up all these bottom score lines just to that first horizontal score line. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of a notch out of the smaller square panels because they're going to fold inside the larger panels and create the bottom. Okay, so there's our bottom for us. Okay, now let's turn here and we're going to look at our partial score lines here. Let me see if I can turn it so you can see it a little better. Okay, I am just going to go ahead and cut up these partial score lines that I created and then stop there and then cut off this section like that, and we're going to create the hanging part. Okay, same thing over here. That partial score line over here. And there we go. So I got it just like this one here. Very simple to put together. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our creating. Let me put my scissors away. Now I used the pumpkin pie gingham. Look how pretty that is. Love it. Perfect match for our project, of course. And now it is actually open. Okay, so this is how it's going to close itself. Okay, so we're going to have it like this and then close it like that. All right, so we want to leave it open first, and we're going to put our piece of designer series paper on the inside like here so you can see it down into the pocket. All right, so let's go ahead. First thing I'm going to do is, you know it, I'm going to do a little bit of corner rounding at the top because I just like to. It's not necessary to make your project with the rounded corners. I just think it looks a little snappier. Then, of course, I've got to take my designer series paper piece. Let me get the dimensions of this piece. I have it written down over here, but I'm going to go ahead and round those corners. Okay, the largest panel is cut at 2 3/4 by 6 3/4, and that's going to lay right in here on the large panel before we assemble. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that over. Ooh, that would be pretty too. Look at both sides of this are pretty. So that's what's so nice about this paper. I just like the black in it too, because that makes it a little more Halloween-y. Okay, let's go ahead and lay that in here. Okay, just center it on that middle panel. Okay, then the last thing we do before we assemble is we're going to grab our 1-inch circle punch, 2-inch circle punch, or if you have a 2-inch circle die from the layered circles, you can use that too. You go ahead and line it up on that panel, and we're going to create the hole that's going to be where we hang it. So I'm going to squeeze it real hard. And there is my hole for the hanger. Okay, so you can use a die there if you have it, or if you have a circle punch. Okay, all right. Now we're going to go ahead and close it up by putting a little bit of glue along that skinny end here that's left. Then I'm going to fold that over in front of my hanger, and then I'm just going to fold close the other edge, and that's going to make that line up perfectly and create perfect angles on the bottom of our box. I am using art glitter glue, Renee. I am out of Tombow, and I need to make another order, but I do like this because it has the smaller tip. Okay, I got it on, actually Mary Harshall told me about it, and then I just got it on Amazon, of course. Okay, but it's wonderful glue. It's water-based, dries clear, but it has this great small tip, and then you have to keep a little needle in top to keep it clear. All right, so now we've got to close up the bottom of our box, and I always like to bring down the front flap last. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue here on that front flap and close it over the back. Okay, then I'm going to take my bone folder and that is closed. Let me snip this. Now we're ready to go ahead and put on our second piece of designer series paper. Let me go through my directions here and see what. All right, let's see. This is 2 3/4 by 3 1/4, and that's going to go right on the front of the box. Okay, this comes together really, really fast. Okay, and then it's kind of up to you what kind of embellishment you want to put on the front. Okay, so I'll show you what I did. Next thing I'm going to do here is tie the bow, because my little embellishment goes over the bow using dimensionals. So I'm going to put the bow on first. Okay, so I'm going to just wrap this around my box and tie my little bow, and then the bow is going to end up on the left hand side, but it really doesn't matter while you're tying it where it is. Just when you finish, you can always slide it over. Okay, now let's do a little bit of floofing. Oh, he came out pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to slide him over to the left hand side like that, and I'm going to snip my ends. Okay, I know there's a black glitter ribbon also in the catalog that would look awesome with this. All right, so now we're ready to make our little embellishment for the front. Okay, now let's see. We need a little piece of basic white. Okay, let me get the dimensions of this. Okay, this piece of basic white is 2 3/4 inches by 2 inches. Okay, and this is going to go right on the front of the box like that. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to grab my Memento ink and my little troop of trick-or-treaters. I love this one with the little 3. Okay. Yes, Renee, it is really great. You don't have to use so much glue, but sometimes it's hard to regulate that with other glues, and Mary told me about this one and I'm loving it. If you want a link, I can send you something. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I need to leave a little room at the top for the moon. So there go my little trick-or-treaters marching along. Okay, then I need to bring out my Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to put the little moon up here. Let's see, in the right-hand corner. There we go. So far, so good. All right. Then the next thing I'm going to do is make a little banner at the bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to do that fussy cutting it. And the way I do it is I just snip up the middle of the bottom, about 3/4 of an inch, I would say. Then I'm going to come over from the side, the corner, right to the top of that snip I made. Let me make sure they get off. There we go. And there we have our cute little banner. Okay, so now, like I was telling you before, I put dimensionals on this, and it kind of overlaps over. Overlaps over? I don't know. Goes over the ribbon. So you're going to need to put 4 dimensionals, couple up top, couple up bottom, and then your ribbon will run between those. Okay? So let me go ahead and take off. Hey, Mary Harshall, I was just talking to Renee about our glue that we love. Okay, here is the little banner. On with dimensionals top and bottom. You could stop right there. I think that's pretty darn cute right there, but of course I'd like to add a sentiment. So I'm going to grab a piece of the Parakeet Party. Look at this color. I love it. And I'm going to take my sentiment, love at first bite. I'm going to stamp it in the black Memento ink right on this beautiful Parakeet Party. So bright. I like it because it kind of looks like glow in the dark. Hey, Deb Noss. Nice to see you. All right, then I'm going to grab my double oval punch. This is still current in the catalog. This is a great one to have in your stash. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it into the center here because I want the regular oval, not the scalloped oval. So I'm going to look at it here and get it as centered as I can. There we go. And then I'm going to add this right here at the bottom. Okay, it's really going to be mostly overlapping the banner, so you really don't need much glue and you don't need any dimensionals. So you're just going to, I put mine just right here on the corner, and it does go off your box a little bit, but hey, your ribbon goes off on that side, right? All right, now let me show you what I put in mine here. I put 2 of these little mini treats. These are almost like Rice Krispie treats, but they use the Count Chocula cereal with the marshmallow. So they're a lot like Krispie treats, and I like the colors of them. They looked like Halloween. So those can fit in, and I have a Kit Kat here. And I have a pack of gummies. So this will hold a lot of stuff. So this is great. I'm going to put that in there first, so that will help me get this to rise up a little bit so you can see it's, there we go. And then I'll put this here. Okay, so there you have it. There is all the yummy candy in there. And as I showed you at the beginning, it hangs lovely on your doorknob. And it's a great surprise for anybody that you'd love to give a treat on Halloween. This would be gorgeous for Christmas, for Easter, for Valentine's Day. This is a design that you want to have kind of in the back of your mind to use for almost any occasion. So that is day 3 of my 10 days of Halloween. I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I am making it. Remember to come back again tomorrow night, which is what, Friday, and I will show you another great treat box for the Halloween season. All right, thanks so much for joining me, girls. Love having you on and chatting a bit. All right, so take care, and I'll see you again tomorrow evening. Bye now.